Şişe Cam, Vadi buluşmalarını sunar.
Merhaba, ben Oğuzhan Aygören. Vadi buluşmalarında bu hafta Silikon Vadisi'nin en ikonik yerlerinden birindeyiz. Burası yatırım arayan girişimcilerin yatırımcılara sunum yaptığı bir yer. Mark Zuckerberg'ün Facebook'u ilk olarak kurduğu yer ya da Tim Cook'un pazar kahvaltıları için tercih ettiği yer. Bugün konuğumuz girişimcilerin ve yatırımcıların kafa yapısını büyük şirketlere anlatmak için yazdığı kitapla Venture Mindset kitabının ortak yazarı olan sevgili Alex Denk. Alex, Silikon Vadisi'ne Stanford Üniversitesi'nde master çalışmaları için gelmiş. Ama öncesinde Ernst Young, McKinsey gibi, Amazon gibi şirketlerde yöneticilik yapmış bir isim. Ve bu sayede de Silikon Vadisi'ndeki birçok yatırımı ve büyük şirketi biliyor. Bugün de bu konular üzerine konuşacağız. Alex, it's a great pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you for actually coming with us in Palo Alto in this lovely, beautiful day.
That's right.
In Coupa Cafe, and just recently we had the chance to meet the owner of Coupa Cafe.
What a magical place and ecosystem.
What
That's,
a
I think,
legend.
the power of this place, that you can bump into legendary people and just get to know each other on the spot. That may lead to phenomenal deals, phenomenal investments, unicorns and companies which transform lives.
By the way, actually, the first time I came to Silicon Valley a long time ago, I guess early 2012, I mean, the first place I came in Palo Alto was this Coupa Cafe.
Yeah.
A couple of people just gave me appointments right at this spot.
That's right. That's a magical spot because so many deals are made there. Even though, I mean, people think that that's just a kind of a place where you make all these investments and decisions. At the same time, I think it's the ecosystem and ecosystem play and ecosystem magic that you can get to know each other right there at the table, and that may lead to phenomenal deals and phenomenal things.
Alex, we'll talk about the venture mindset, what it means. But first, actually, I would like to start with your experience with the Silicon Valley and then how you came up with writing this book with Ilya Strebula from Stanford Business School. I mean, since the book came, it just became a hit among the international corporations just to learn more about the magic of Silicon Valley, how they can replicate, how they can apply it in their companies. So can you please tell us about your experience about Silicon Valley?
Sure. So I arrived here actually 12 years ago. I was already by that time a partner at a famous advisory company, Ernst Young, one of the youngest partners there, but I still felt that something magical is happening here in Silicon Valley. So I decided to come to spend 1 year at Stanford. That's when I met my future co-author, Ilya Strebula, the one that you mentioned, who's been spending all of his time and career focused exclusively on venture capital and private equity industry. He studies unicorns and innovation. So then my journey brought me to Amazon, where I launched numerous new ventures. And I realized that there are so many amazing things that any company or anywhere in the world can learn from big technology companies, how they reinvent themselves on a regular basis. Because think of Amazon 20, 25 years ago. It was a bookstore, online store, and then it turned out to be a huge cloud player. And now it's investing heavily in AI space. So my journey started with Amazon. Then I joined McKinsey business as a partner here in Silicon Valley office and served and advised numerous clients, Fortune 500 companies, doing exactly the same thing. How to reinvent yourself, how to launch new ventures, how to mimic that innovativeness of big tech, and what is the best way to do so. And when we compared our notes with Ilya Strebula, first I was his student, then I became his co-author, we realized that there is a lot to learn from venture capital industry. We're actually passing by numerous offices here of big venture capital funds and what they do and how they make decisions. I think that is something important to learn, especially now when the uncertainty is so high. At the same time, it's a phenomenal opportunity for many companies to invest in AI and reinvent themselves.
Yeah. And through this journey, actually, it's very similar to also my experience with the corporations. I mean, I hear from many corporations that they would like to be more like a startup. They
That's
would
right.
like to be innovative. But I mean, from your experience, are there any examples actually say, okay, yeah, this totally works. I mean, this is not something specific to Silicon Valley, or maybe let me rephrase this. What are the things that are specific to Silicon Valley, and what are the things that can be replicated by organizations outside of Silicon Valley?
Like I mentioned that I spent some time at Amazon, and Amazon is a big believer as a company. Jeff Bezos believed in mechanisms. Good intentions never work, but mechanisms do. So I think the word that you mentioned, replication, I think that's the critical word. So what are the mechanisms that every company, every large organization can learn from big tech and from venture capitalists? And you compared big corporations to startups. I think the entire comparison is not truly, there is some bureaucracy there, the scale is different. So I would actually compare a large corporation, the most innovative ones, to a VC fund, to a venture capital fund. Actually, if you think about, out of top 10 companies in the United States, 7 are VC funded. At some stage, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, NVIDIA were all funded by VC. So there is something about them and about the way that venture capitalists are making decisions that help them to find and fund these ideas. And you know so well because you also work with many large corporations. So what we can all learn, I would say that the most important part is that they think in portfolios. They think about new ideas, not as a single idea. They do not bet a farm on a single idea. Actually, VCs are making up to 20 bets. And out of these 20, 15 to 16 will be complete failures. So they will write off them to zero. 2 to 4 of them will generate 2 to 4x return. And only a single one will generate 10 to 100x return. And that is the deal, the bet that they're looking for. So the fear, the threat for a VC as a business is to miss that future Amazon, future Apple, future Microsoft, future NVIDIA, future OpenAI.
Yeah.
And the same mindset could be easily applied to large corporations. They also have to set aside some particular amount of time and money and capital and talent to invest in these breakthrough ideas, the ones that will become outliers, the ones that we call home runs in our book, that hopefully we'll be able to discuss later today.
Alex, now we find a place to sit, so I think that's a great opportunity to show the book to the camera, the venture mindset, that the book that we've been talking about, how the Silicon Valley thinks about it and how other companies can benefit from it. So you told me that you wrote this book, just launched 1.5 years ago in 2024, and there is an AI revolution going on right now. So I'd like to ask you how this AI revolution is reshaping Silicon Valley, the innovation and the venture mindset.
That's right, and you're right. I think that's exactly how you described it. That's an AI revolution. We're at an inflection point when so many things will change. Even venture investing is changing as well. I actually think that the venture mindset should be and could be applied, and it's becoming almost like on steroids. So whenever we expect, investors expect a 10x return, now they expect 100x return. Why? Because they compare a startup to NVIDIA. Why would I invest in the venture capital industry if I can invest in Amazon or NVIDIA?
Even I can do it in the public market.
Correct, with a kind of lower risk level. So we also say about the importance of the team in the book. Now the team is not just about the people. It's not about people anymore. It's about digital workers or agents. So we refer to this as a very small team, 2-pizza team launch approach. And we do believe that that's the best way to launch new ventures, as a small team. That's what we did. That's how I launched numerous ventures at Amazon, and that's how I recommend to do so across bigger corporations. Now it's a one-slice pizza team, because now we can rely a lot on agents or AI agents who are doing the work for you.
Yeah, actually, we hear about it, but I mean, for the companies, for the people's person, it still feels like, okay, it's too far away. I mean, yeah, maybe some people do it, but I mean, how does it change exactly the way I do business today? So can you give an example of like this one slice company?
Yeah, I think people who are asking today, and I meet with clients about that, they always ask, what is the AI agentic impact on shopping? What will happen? And my response to them, it's happening now as we speak. Because I did my Black Friday shopping with the help of AI agents. Even now, discovery is already happening not on Amazon or Google, they're happening within ChatGPT's, Gemini's of the world. So I think it's very important, especially when you're here, you feel that this change is happening way faster than we're used to experience that. And that's why I always recommend, come here to the Bay Area, come here to Silicon Valley, just walk around Berkeley or Stanford, and you will feel that vibe. Say with agentic AI, so many workflows are being changed as we speak. The amount of the impact, I could compare it to, say, Amazon when it became the place to make online purchases. Before that, we normally would go to a retail store, try to pick and choose. Then one day, we all start our discovery and search on Amazon. Today, that shift may happen, and you may now start your discovery on ChatGPT. Agents are truly replacing people, and very knowledgeable ones. I mean, I would just refer to the Stanford research, which clearly demonstrates the junior roles are less and less frequently seen within corporations, meaning that junior people are replaced to some extent with AI. I don't call it a dangerous trend. I think it's a very promising trend because that happened before so many times. So I compare that to some extent, horses being replaced with cars. However, as an academic, we have to be very true to ourselves that in reality, it's a bit more challenging than people pretend to be, to make it look easy. There's so many failed initiatives. I'm traveling a lot and talking to different clients in different countries. It's so easy to run a pilot, and I'm sure that you've been pitched so many times, a great demo, but to actually make it impactful product is way, way harder. And it's Amazon Go, which is a cashier-less computer vision powered store. It feels easy, but it took years to actually launch it. And it took years for a company in Europe, Zapka, which is a big retailer there, convenience store, which also did the same thing as Amazon. They launched cashier-less stores. Again, takes years to launch it properly. So AI, I think, is a tricky area in place. You have to be patient to make things work at industrial production level, with a high precision. But missing that opportunity, missing this trend, I think could be devastating for so many corporations. And you just simply miss the opportunity to increase your productivity by a lot.
Actually, you are coming from this consulting background, and now you're doing this research and work with corporates. And in the old world, companies, when they work with consulting companies, they ask the questions. So consulting companies are the gurus, they know all the best practices. They come with a presentation, and then, okay, yeah, we can apply this strategy. So which strategy should we go? But now the field is changing, or has already changed with AI. And now I think the way how we think about strategy is changing as well. It's not about now choosing one of the available routes. It's about creating our own map. So how do you comment on that? I mean, from a consulting perspective.
Look, I think I believe that consulting playbook is a good one to use from time to time, but as an advisor today, I would highly recommend companies to define the direction and then start launching kind of mini startups within yourselves, new ventures.
Now here in San Francisco, actually, it feels like we are living in the future.
That's right.
Like driving the autonomous cars. So when I pitch this idea to corporates, so many times they are like, oh my God, this is crazy to think. No, let's just focus on the 10%. We don't want to go for the 10 times. So they would like to catch the next Uber, next Tesla, but at the same time, they don't want to change this existing way of doing business. So what is one thing that when you talk to corporates that convince them to think like 10 times. So what makes their mind change?
Look, I think there are a few thoughts to share here. So first of all, I do agree with many corporates who are skeptical about moonshots, because I think moonshots have to be balanced with, we call them, actually Google calls them roof shots.
Roof shot.
Roof
Okay.
shots. So something which is way more feasible in the next
Okay.
3
into
to
the
5
moon.
years.
Okay. Let's shoot the roof. Okay.
And we even in the book present the idea of a pyramid principle that you spread your bets across different levels of innovation, from core to adjacent to truly disruptive. And I think balancing that, that's what makes you truly successful.
Portfolio approach.
Portfolio
that you mentioned. Okay, let's talk more about that portfolio approach.
So I think that's where some of your bets will just continue to improve your core. And if you think about Amazon, numerous A/B tests are run whenever you open your app. Amazing programs. I launched a few of them, like Try Before You Buy, or Prime Sampling, or the program subscription program for kids and teens. All of those also help your core business and improve it. It's kind of the same, but it gives you a few more percentage points of growth. And in some cases, they truly disrupt what already exists and builds on top of that. But I think what is the danger of not making truly bold investments is that the entire business model could be disrupted. So think of a bookstore business. If you are literally skipping the entire .com or internet trend, then your business disappears. Taxi companies, they pretty much not exist anymore unless they're protected by regulators. So the same for Expedias of the world. So whoever were the travel agents before, now they are dependent on Expedias and Booking.com, etc. So I think that's what's important. Unless you make these bold, big investments, you may miss the opportunity to reinvent your company. And we did this study with Ilya from Stanford. We looked at the Fortune 500 companies, the very first original list, and compare that to the one which exists today. You may imagine that I think it's more than 85% of companies simply disappeared from the list. I think that's a good reminder. And more importantly, the pace of this reinvention is only be higher and faster today. Because today you can truly reinvent the experience, and users are a few taps away from choosing another competitor. That's the danger. That's, I think, easy. Again, mining companies and agriculture companies and construction companies may still point you that we're way more conservative, and they should be. But even there, the implications of AI design, predicting safety concerns, I think that's what makes it so powerful as a technology.
And in terms of this technology perspective, there's a lot of uncertainties, especially you mentioned about this safety, and there are different approaches, between US, Europe, China, Asia as well. So in one sense, Europe is like more regulation first, and then innovation comes later, and that's why it's lagging at the moment. But in US, especially in Silicon Valley, it's more like, okay, let's innovate and then we can regulate. We can always regulate. So regulation comes later. I mean, in your study, so do you have you seen any data, any research about that?
So I would point you that you've already described a few different models of what is the level of a risk that companies are ready to take. And you're right, many companies in the US are taking more risks. But perhaps because of that risk-taking activity, we see what we see when we compare US to other G7 countries. Companies are younger in the US. Most of the trillion-dollar companies are US-based. And I think that's the reason for that is, first of all, venture capital, because they're risk-taking, and that's a risk capital. You can even call it that way. We discussed that many startups or founders before they had to rely on loans, and many of them, say in Europe, still have to rely on loans
or grants.
Grants. But loans and grants is not the best way and the best vehicle to invest in startups. So if you truly want to see breakthroughs, I think you have to accept the effect of a risk and the effect of a competition among ideas. So especially for large companies, and I know that many large companies and executives will listen to this, I really want to nail the message that your company can become a lab
of new ideas. You should not just make a single bet on a single idea. Make it a lab with numerous ideas in different areas. And one of them may become an outlier. And like in science, you just invest more and more money and capital in that idea, and that may become your unicorn. That may become your AWS. Today, Amazon is not about .com anymore.
It's mostly the cloud business. Actually, when I talk this to corporates, they like this idea. They like being in the lab. They invest in innovation. All the companies that I know, in Turkey, in other places, they all have this innovation labs. So they do experiment. But the problem is, when the business struggles, the first place it's shut down is the innovation labs.
And you know what? I have to say that I would also do the same, because many of these labs, it's not innovation. It's innovation theater.
Okay, let's talk about it.
It's you enter fancy, cool buildings with lots of sticky notes and lots of charts. But I think it's as far away from innovation as it could be, because the true innovation is happening, first of all, here when they talk to the user, when you actually build something which resonates with the user. And that will generate more returns. And that will not be closed, because the moment when you start to refer to innovation as something just fancy and cool, this is not innovation. The innovation is the app that you use because it's so useful. It saves you money. It saves you time. So I do agree. It's hard to be innovative, and it's hard to reimagine yourself, because there are a few foundational challenges. The first one are incentives. Imagine that you're an executive. If you fail with your project, what typically would happen to you? Most likely, you will be fired, or downgraded
in a typical company,
or you just leave the company.
So
as an executive, there is no, and if you succeed as a startup founder, you know it, you can become a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire, right away. If you succeed within a corporate, at most, you will have a bonus at the end of a year. So if I just describe that to you, and any rational senior executive, and you hopefully have rational senior executives, logically, they should not take risks unless you change their incentives. So first of all, I think you have to fix incentives.
Great point.
Number two, organization design. If the organization is designed as a bureaucratic machine, which is focused on Six Sigma and perfection, there is no space for innovation, because like we discussed, innovation requires accepting the failure. So you have to design the org the way that will be a kind of an ecosystem of startups. At Amazon, we call that two pizza teams, like small teams which will create something new. If you try to fit that innovative idea into a huge bureaucratic machine, it will not work. So number two is the organization design. Number three, you can call it culture or mindset. Unless you create this atmosphere of launching new things, of stimulating that, I think you will fail. So we called it leadership principles at Amazon. You will go to any big tech company and you will feel that it feels different. So culture or the mindset, I think that's where it starts. And very often it has to start not from the bottom, but from the top.
That's true.
So that's why every single time when we meet someone, we give one book to the person and sign it. And another one, we ask what's the CEO's name or the chairman's name, and we give it, because I think that's very important for the chairman and for the CEO to truly appreciate that risk-taking is a part of the business model, is a way to reinvent the company.
Actually, in the case of Silicon Valley, we talk about $1 trillion companies, but let's take NVIDIA. $5 trillion, $7 trillion company, but still the company is governed by the founder to more than 25 years. Like the same with Meta, the same with Google. Now the Sergey Brin has returned, and Google is flourishing again. So, but when we look at many other international companies, they are governed by this professional managers, the board. So all the incentive structure is different, and when I think about it, it all comes down to this vision, inspiration, and connection. So that's how I like to call it. So maybe for the top management, we need to have top managers who have this founder mindset or the founder role. Maybe we need to have this entrepreneurs being brought back to companies, and the companies need to be governed by the entrepreneurs. That might have changed.
I would agree with you, though I would use another word for that. I would use the word ownership. I think ownership could be reflected as I'm the major shareholder of a company. But I think ownership is also a principle that you embed within a company. If you own some stock or stock options, your mindset changes, like we described. But I think ownership could be also part of the culture. So Eric Schmidt, and no one would argue that he's a phenomenal CEO of Google who made Google such a successful company. He endorsed the book as well. He's not the original founder of the company, but he added so much value to the company. And we can go on and on with different examples. 3M is another example of a company which celebrated more than 100 years old anniversary, and that's a dividend king, but it also a big innovator who came up with ideas of sticky notes and many other. P&G, the company that you worked for, also brought to the market so many innovative ideas, not with the founder leading the company. So I think the idea is more about, Jeff Bezos used to call it day one and day two mentality.
That's true.
Day one mentality is when you continue to own, when you continue to feel that that's the company that you are still building, that there's a lot to build. Day two mentality is when you start to think and scratch your head, how would you navigate all the political games? Will you get the funding for that? Can I be fired for this and that? So when you add this fat to the company, when you become a bureaucratic machine, it feels way more organized, but actually, unfortunately, also leads to inefficiencies. So that's why I don't think that discipline and being organized and being conservative and being bureaucratic are the same things. Being disciplined, you can be even still being very innovative. Ownership is one of the reasons for that.
That's true. Yeah, ownership. Yeah, that's a great name. And also there is a saying I like here, skin in the game. And so you need to have skin in the game, which means that if you have something, you put your money where your mouth is. So it's like if you talk about something, if you are backing it, you need to put money. So you need to, if things fail, so you need to get some pain out of it. Otherwise, it's like talk is cheap at the end of the day.
That's right.
Alex, thank you. It was a wonderful conversation. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we'll meet again and do more of the stuff
I really appreciate that. I hope that this discussion will reach as many people as possible. Hopefully one day it will be also translated to Turkish language, and we really think that the book resonated so much with everyone in the world because it touches the decision-making process. It's not about technology. It's not about AI. It's not about venture capital. It's not about startups. It's actually about how you can improve your decision making, how you can have more fulfilling careers, how can you capture more innovative things in the world and leverage that for your benefit, not just capital wise, but to just live better, more fulfilling and more innovative life. So that's becoming a movement to some extent, and I'm so glad that it's happening. I didn't expect that, I have to admit. We certainly wanted and we're inspired to becoming a bestseller here in the US, but this global thing and global movement, I think that's something that truly impresses me. I'm so glad, and hopefully more readers will read the book. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Evet, bu hafta Vadi buluşmalarında Venture Mindset kitabının yazarı Alex Denk'le beraberdik. Silikon Vadisi'ni farklı yapan kafa yapısını ve şirketlerin bundan çıkaracakları dersleri konuştuk. Önümüzdeki hafta başka bir bölümde, başka bir mekanda görüşmek üzere.
Şişe Cam, Vadi buluşmalarını sundu.